pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, roll call. So, excuse absences tonight for Tom and West. They're both on travel. Tom's on his way, I guess, to Big Island, so we have a quorum to conduct business. I'd like a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion.
Avery, thank you.
Second it.
Thank you. Discussion. The only point that I had here is under item number 8, staff presentation. There will not be a presentation by Mo. So that's the only update that I'm aware of. Anything else that Jerry? Okay. Any discussion? If not, so we'll vote to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So 100%. Okay. Recognition of visitors. We have some tonight. But no public comment. I don't believe so. No. Okay. So student recognition, Jerry. Let's go into our back.
Come on up.
Yeah, and then the presentation I emailed to Brittany.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Stepping it up, I like it.
Great. All right.
Yeah, we're a little extra in 3rd grade.
A little extra.
A little extra. Bailey. I don't think you've seen this yet. I emailed it to myself in the email. All right, so we're gonna point this way, and we're gonna say hi here and introduce yourself. She is an amazing 3rd grader. We love having her. So Bailey is my student of the month or student of the year, kind of how we look at it. Next one, please. All right, I am excited to nominate Bailey for student of the month. Bailey is an exceptional 3rd grader who embodies everything we look for in a student. First and foremost, Bailey is incredibly sweet. She has a kind heart and always goes out of her way to make others feel included. Whether it's sharing toys at recess or offering a helping hand in class, Bailey has shown us all what it means to be a true friend. And next. And Bailey works really, really hard in everything she does. So whether she is tackling math problems or diving into reading, she puts in the effort and never backs down from a challenge. Her determination is truly inspiring, and it reminds us all to keep trying even when things get tough. Bailey never gives up. When she's encountered a difficult task, she approaches it with grit and resilience, and her perseverance teaches us that hard work pays off, and it's okay to make mistakes as long as we keep trying. So we are so proud of you, Bailey. I'm really, really happy and honored you're in my class this year. And Mr.
Congratulations.
There you go. We're gonna take.
Oh, yeah, sign. Yeah, sign.
We're gonna do a picture of you and me and the board, and then we'll do a family one. Is that okay? Okay, you can say no if you don't want to. Okay, we'll make it fast. Yes. And the only people that lose this will, okay, we're gonna go this way. So your name is right there, kiddo. Yeah. 3, 1, 2, 3.
Skaters.
One more. 1, 2, 3.
Skaters.
I don't know, there's a few thoughts and have family in here. Oh, that's
So let's try to get the agenda. Yeah.
with the board? Sure. Are you gonna be in the picture? Oh, it's so cute. All right.
Okay.
Right. On 3. Here, I'll get out. Hold on. Sorry. Oh, we'll do one more, sorry. Right. Oh, you want to be in here? Okay, here, we'll have to
I'm sorry.
like, get Woody. Anyway. It's a happiness. This is my everything. Thank you.
Nice job.
Let me find you want to I really, I want to be front porch.
I think Ed White's gonna keep him.
Thank you.
Ed White.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you, Bailey, for being awesome. Lucy, come on in the room. No touch.
Yeah, just before I hand it to Stevie, did you have anything tonight? You came in a little bit late, I saw you signing, but I wasn't sure, yeah. And you wanted to talk. Okay,
Just in support of the board.
okay, good, thank you, Dan, go ahead.
All right, so it's like on the agenda that we're going over SBA testing, but that's, I just want you guys to be aware, that's just like one little slide. We're gonna go over that data, but the most important thing is what are we doing with that data? And that's what we turn into our school improvement plan. So that's what we're gonna dive into more closely tonight, because data is important, that we look at the data, but it's really important is what we're gonna do with it, so our action steps. So we can go on to the next slide. So the 2024-2025 SIP is put together by the Learning Leadership Team, which last month we talked a lot about and presented the work that they do. So as a team, we on a regular weekly basis review the things that we need to look at and how we need to form our PLCs to look at data to promote student growth. But in a bigger way, twice a year, we dive into all of our diagnostic data as a leadership team in 2 full days. And how do we plan to move forward with the upcoming school year and creating a school improvement plan that gives people buy-in, that meets the requirements from the state, but that really works for our small community school. So that's what we're going to look at. So our planning and process for creating a SIP is we look at the previous spring SBA scores, and then the data points with the Renaissance Place STAR assessments that we take. Those are kind of our big benchmarks, because we have, with COVID, we weren't taking the SBA, they keep changing things with it, but STAR, Renaissance Place assessments, those are our consistent diagnostic tests that we give the kids 3 times a year. And we feel like that gives us far more controlled data. Plus, it's not just a few grades, it's all the grades that take it. Even the little ones have an early literacy test. So we have a lot of data that we can pull from that. We can pull the exact standards that a kiddo is struggling in, and we can give them that, which we do give them those tools, and then we can work on goal setting with the kids. So the STAR data is a phenomenal tool. It's not a cheap tool. Every school district purchases different diagnostic testing platforms. We really prefer Renaissance Place because we understand how to really use it and dive into it. Our staff understands it and our kids understand it. So we can kind of come together to create these goals, and that's what we do for our SIP. So we review the state requirements for equity and inclusion. Those were really big things that we didn't necessarily have embedded and clearly written into our SIP in past years. And the state this year said these things need to be clear in here and not just, as a part of your overall, but how are you doing inclusion and equity in your school? And how are you increasing scores for students with disabilities? So that was one area that the state flagged us in this last spring. They said, hey, wait a second, we don't feel like you have as consistent growth with your students with disabilities as you do in other areas, and we would like to see improvement there. While I agree with them that there's always room for improvement, one of the hard things is to give us that kind of a challenge to look at that data at a school district like ours, where we have such a limited amount of students with special needs that are in that testing category, those testing age. It's not a big sample. Mm-hmm. So it changes every single year. And we had 2 kiddos that are receiving special services that their parent did the refusal to test last year, which they have every right to do. But that results as a 0. So that, pulls down 2 students is, that's 20%, or 15% or so of our students with special needs who take the test. So it plays a big role in those things. Again, I always see an opportunity when the state says you need to work on this. It's like, okay, we're going to work on this. This is an area of improvement. But I do think that the sample size that we have for that category makes it a really complicated thing. I don't really feel like our students dropped with students with special needs, but you will look at it, and we included it in our SIP. Okay, so they displayed the scores far differently this year than they've done in the past. So the state used to give us kind of a 1-sheeter, and you could see all the different schools and how they do. But of course, they're laying things out differently now. So I want to talk about the top of the page first. The top is GSD. The bottom is the state of Washington. So they have now taken our scores and what they call is foundational grade level knowledge. So these are students that are meeting what they consider to be foundational. Then this is what we always base the scores off, which is the consistent grade level knowledge and above. And in their definition of these two new things, because this is brand new, is that this is the foundational grade level skills. This is basically a 2 or above. The students have a basic foundational understanding at their grade level of these skills. Consistent grade level knowledge means that they are on the pathway to college. So this is more college-ready knowledge and skills. This is more they're understanding key components of their grade level skills. Maybe not all the way through, but that's kind of now how they're looking at scores. So it makes a lot of the scores seem a lot higher. So I just want you to be very aware, this look here is brand new. We've always looked at these percentages, which are the 3s and above from this side on the consistent grade level knowledge and above, and these foundational skills are 2s and above. So this is a new thing that the state is putting out there. We have to decide how we're going to, as a school, look at that. Of course, we want all of our students growing. And we would like to see all of our students really coming in at that 2 level and higher, of course. But it's just something to think about. This is comparing different information than what we've compared in the past. But as we can see in the foundational levels, we came in at 76.8. The state came in at 70.8. For math, we came in at 74.8. The state at 62.7. And our science, 83.9, and the state at 62. For if we're counting only 3s and 4s, like what we've done in the past, we came in at 54.3, the state came in at 50.3, math 45.7, the state 39.7, science 62.9, and the state 43.5. So we're going to explain this a little bit more in the next slide and how this compares to previous years and where we see areas of growth and where we've seen one area of decline and what we're doing to work on those things. Across the county, we are still consistently showing highest level of both of these categories, foundational level and consistent grade level knowledge. Okay. So
We're the best.
So what does it all mean? We are consistently higher than the state. Based off of our last scores, we went up in math 0.5%. We went down in ELA 5.6%, and we went up in science 8.4%. Our student growth exceeded our goal. So the student growth goal is what the state puts out as student growth. So the amount of our students that move forward, and I'm going to give that definition again here in a minute, but in our SIP, we set our student growth goals at 40 in ELA and 35 in math, and we exceeded those significantly. Our ELA came in at 49% growth, and our math came in at 46.5% growth. And that's students moving up on their scale scores. So from that low 1 to maybe a higher 1 or a low 2. So that shows the students' growth, not necessarily them all being at a 3. So that shows how many of them are growing, and our growth scores went way exceeded our expectations. So our kids are growing in their knowledge. Our dedication to STEAM time and math supports are paying off as those scores are growing significantly. I mean, our science score going up to 8.4% is huge. And then our dip in ELA is concerning, and it's getting addressed through additional intervention focus in ELA, more regular dedicated time to using ELA interims to inform instruction, and we are embedding writing across curriculum in social studies and in science, especially in middle school. Our middle school ELA scores did take a slight dip in their classes, but our biggest dip was in our elementary, which, I hate to use, you guys know this, I hate to use COVID as an excuse, but some of those core components of comprehension were coming up in our third, fourth, and fifth graders. And that's where we saw little dips. Not anything huge. It wasn't a significant, it's not like we dropped 20%, but we see those little dips in our ELA and specifically in comprehension. So that's where we're kind of moving forward with our SIP.
So before you move on,
Mhm.
so reflective listening here, It looks like then what you said there is in the ELA portions, not the reading or the spelling, but it's more in the writing, the ability to write. Is that what you?
I mean, that's-
Is that what you just said?
So the phonetic reading doesn't seem to be nearly as, they're not testing that. That's not part of the SBA testing. They're not necessarily testing how fast a kid can read. There's no fluency test in it because it's a computerized. The test, they have to read passages and then they have to build comprehension. What was the most, or what was the inference of this passage? It will ask a third grader, because inference is a huge vocabulary word for third graders. They learn about inference. And one of the big questions and focus is how to infer, but then they'll give like 4 different possibilities that all have something to do with the story. And the student has to choose what is to them, the best, what is the clearest inference that's made, and then what text evidence supports that. So then they have to go through and highlight, drag and copy, and then write in small sections about their defense. And that's just for the 8-year-olds. So it gets, significantly harder as they get older, but it's not just understanding the plot and sequence of a story, but it's far deeper than that. It's making inferences, based off of character structure, and character development and conflict resolution within a story or within an article. And that's just one section of the test. They've got, 50 questions, based off of oftentimes 4 or 5 different significant reading sections. And then they have the massive writing component of it. So that's what we're embedding. The writing is a huge part of it, because in order to write based off of what you're reading, you have to be able to make inferences, you have to build connections, you have to use text evidence. So we are, by embedding more writing structures into our science and ELA, English classes, we are into science and social studies classes, by embedding more writing, so responding to the reading and writing, we're hoping to do that. That's where we're moving forward. Yep, absolutely. So our focus is always so much on student growth. So I'm just going to read this. We still hypothesize that measuring student growth, setting goals and action plans around student growth would help us do 2 specific things. First, by measuring and targeting growth, especially growth beyond the standard growth target, the achievement gap between students scoring lower and students scoring higher on the Renaissance Suite assessments and SBAs would shrink, bringing our lower scoring students closer to their same age peers. So we want our higher peers growing. We want them growing, but we want our lowest ones to grow too, and to start shrinking that gap. So by targeting growth, students of all ability levels are targeted, not just the students who are scoring lower and attempting to bring them up and forgetting about those students that are already doing fine. When students fall through the cracks, when we hear those terms, and oftentimes in districts, it's not the students that are falling through the cracks that are lower, because we have all these methods of catching them, these interventions, these targets, these, setting student growth goals with all these things. It's, they want you to set, the state wants you to set, teachers to set student growth goals based on their lowest students. But what about those students that are right there and doing all of those things? If we don't constantly nurture and check in on them, they're going to slip. And that's what we want to make sure that we're catching all of them and they're all making growth. Our procedures, utilizing standard reports downloaded from Renaissance Place, the learning leadership team, worked to determine which growth goal was appropriate for our groups of students. We are setting an annual grade level growth goal in both reading and math. This is determined on greater than a year's worth of growth and a movement of achievement levels in the growth and scale scores. And you can see that in this set. Annual grade level growth goals based on national data, students will grow by 1 or more grade levels or equivalents in ELA and math through the Renaissance Place GLE means grade level equivalent from September 2024 to June 2025 in each assessed grade. Furthermore, as a school district, our goal is to maintain and expand our student growth percentile. So that's based off of our SBA in the state report card at or above 50% in ELA and 50% in math. So last year we set those at 35 and 40, and we exceeded those so much. So we're shooting for the stars. We want our student growth to be 50% above, their percentiles to be 50% above the average with that, because we think we can do it. We were so proud to see all of our students show that much growth this last year.
And so far, that opening slide, you exceeded that, or that was 2023 into 24.
Mhm.
You exceeded that already?
Well, we hit 46.5 and 49, so now we're going for 50 this year
Okay.
for next year's. Mhm. Because we came over our 35 and 40, so we said, let's push this further, let's go.
Which is the growth goal.
Yes, the growth goal. Mhm. And this is what the growth goal means. So Washington uses student growth percentiles, SGPs, to measure growth in students' math and English language arts skills from one grade level to the next. So that's through the SBA. Students' growth percentiles compare to students in the same grade level with similar scores in previous years and measures their performance relative to those students. So a student with a 40 SGP has growth greater than 40% of students with similar test scores in an earlier grade. For a school, the middle or median SVG in a specific subject and grade level is the school's score for that measure. So students that were about that same level, like that same scale score, for the SBA in the same grade level across the state, our growth score, it shows that they are growing 40% higher than other students that were at their same level. Or for next year, we're hoping 50% higher than other students at their same level. So that's a significant amount, higher up. So, and we think we can do it. So for this year, these are our, star scores from this year. So we've put in September, because we tested them all in September, and then it says star 2025. We will enter those ones in June after we come through here. And then we'll review that as the learning leadership team. So this is in ELA and this is in math. So in ELA, our kindergarten came in at PK9. So that's like end of preschool. So pretty close to kindergarten level, a little bit lower than we'd like for kindergarten readiness, but relatively close. Our first grade came in at 0.6. So more than halfway through kindergarten, not quite ready for first grade, but close. Our second grade came in at 1.6. So again, similar. This is very common in the beginning of the year. These are pretty common scores. Our third grade came in at 3.7. So they're killing it. They came in halfway through third grade in their reading, levels. So they're doing awesome. We're excited for that. Our fourth grade came in at 3.8. That's really near the beginning of fourth grade. Fifth grade came in at 5.4. That's awesome. Sixth grade, really high. But it's really interesting with our middle school students because if they get on a good track with the Renaissance testing, like if they're like, oh, this is an interesting story, and they're answering the questions of the story in the reading section, their scores are going up because they're interested and excited. And so it's you need to see the context of the stories and the reading tests get way harder in middle school because their reading levels are up. So it's always really interesting to see how their reading scores correlate to the test. Seventh grade came in at 7.1 and eighth grade, 9.8 was their overall reading score. So that was really exciting. So I'm gonna come on up right here for math. So the early literacy and numeracy is a combined score. So those are the same for kindergarten and first grade. Our first graders will start the actual STAR math test halfway through first grade. It's a little bit too intense for them early in the school year. We want to really kind of get them into the system in school and not just over assess them right away. But in January, they will take the STAR math test for first grade, and then we'll look at their January scores to June scores to make some comparisons. Our second graders STAR math came in at 1.4. Our third grade came in at 3.0. Our fourth grade came in at 4.1. Our fifth grade came in at 4.4. That was a little bit lower. Our sixth grade came in at 7.6, which is super high. Our seventh grade came in at 6.4. And our eighth grade came in at 9.3. So you can see certain trends here. Our sixth grade class last year scored really high in SBA, and fourth grade scored high in SBA, and third grade scored, like you can see these trends, and now they're sixth graders and they're still on that track. Our eighth grade has been a similar class on a really steady track of growth. Our seventh grade was one of our highest needs classes. for years when we look at their trend, and they've come up so far. Coming in at these levels is actually really exciting for this class. I'm really excited that they're moving this far. Cindy and I last year worked on a lot of schedules to get them additional support and additional interventions and things, and we're seeing a lot of growth there. So it's exciting to see, you know, being a school, you know, this is my 15th year because I did a year of subbing here, to see these kids and have known them for young years and get to see their trends and their trends go up is really exciting to see. But then down here, this is our student growth percentile that I was talking about. We, like I said before, we set our goal at 50% this year. Based off of the SBA tests, we want them to, their student growth percentile to be 50%. And that was a really high goal to set, but to see how much we came up makes me feel really confident that we can do this. Our goals in ELA, in our transition to kindergarten, our growth goal is just for students to increase their endurance and attention span for the full day of school, transitions from one activity to another, and to make sure that we are doing a good amount of exposure in literacy, in books, in reading, in stories, and just the basics of the front of the book, and we turn the pages this way, and these words that correlate to this story, and we, you know, just hyper focus on certain things, and just letter identification and letter sounds, making those sounds with to the students. And so the focus is very much just on that transition to school because they're 4. So we do a WA Kids assessment with them. So we don't test them in the STAR testing or anything like that. So things do look a lot different for transition to kindergarten students. Because we want them to learn through play. We know that play is the best teacher, and we want them to experience that. So, you know, they went to the pumpkin patch yesterday, and they are learning about how pumpkins decompose and how they have a pumpkin and they've cut into it now and they're watching it change every day. So it's really through experiences that they're learning. Our kindergarten through 8th grade will achieve greater than 1 year of grade level equivalence through Renaissance Place ELA assessments from September 2024 to June 2025. Our district-wide ELA growth goal is to see our SBA ELA student growth percentile at or above 50%. Our goals in math. Transition to kindergarten, our growth goal is for students to increase endurance and attention span for a full school day. Again, and increase successful transitions from one activity to another, daily exposure to numeracy in an academic setting. So basic counting and understanding that there's a sequence to things. More and less. Those are big learning targets for preschool for our TK. Kindergarten and grade 1 will achieve greater than 1 year GLE, grade level equivalent growth in Renaissance Early Learning Assessment, Early Literacy and Numeracy Assessment. The Early Literacy Assessment includes early numeracy and number sense components. Grade 1 will take the STAR math test in winter and spring to show greater than 0.5 years of growth. 2nd grade through 8th grade will achieve more than 1 year of grade level equivalent growth in Renaissance Place math assessments from September 2024 to June 2025. And again, oops, it says ELA. Our district-wide math growth goal is to see SBA math students growth percentile at or above 50%. For science, kindergarten, our science scores are so good. Our science went up 8.4%. That's
And we
huge.
were already,
We were already very high. So that's really exciting. It's almost 20% higher than the state's math score or science scores. So that's very exciting to us. And so 65% of our students will meet next generation science standards in the classroom, given assessments provided by FOSS and classroom developed assessments. In 4th and 5th grade, similar component, but they will achieve proficiency in the SBA. We set our goal at 65%. For 5th graders, and for 4th graders, 65% proficiency in the next generation science standards. For 6th through 8th grade, we also set it at 65 because we came in at 62, so 62 point something, I think 0.8. So yeah, let's get there to 65. And so it's the same goal, but 65% of 6th and 7th grade students will meet next gen science standards provided by FOSS and classroom developed assessments. How are we going to achieve our goals. So we have a lot of goals in here, and this is yours to look through. This is posted on our website. As the state requires, we have social emotional learning goals. We have communication goals. We have, quite a bit, but for this presentation, since we're focusing really on scores and academics, we're focusing on ELA, math, and science. Since those are our areas that we're assessed in. So how are we going to achieve? 3rd through 8th grade, all students receive specific and targeted weekly work in STEAM subjects. So science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. We're currently using the STEM kits provided by the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard and the FOSS Science kits to ensure hands-on problem-solving instruction during this designated time. We also have a program called Genius Hour that Cindy Breeze has worked quite a bit in. And so we're purchasing supplies because they're projects that the students can take supplies to create. And actually right now, our students in their STEAM class, our middle school students, are working on new carnival games for the PTSO Halloween Carnival. And so as you see, it looks like there's a painted piece of wood over there with holes in it. And there's all sorts of different things around here because they are building these. They've researched them and then they're building them. And which is a huge part of science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And they're excited to actually see the kids play with these on Friday night. So we're excited for it. We've increased our intervention time. So we have a full-time interventionist in Sherry Williams, but we've also, Cindy doesn't have enough to do apparently, and has taken on additional support because we've noticed some concerning elements of, some of our younger kiddos in their reading that were like, there's just been a few holes that we've noticed that we were kind of surprised about, especially some of our new students coming to us. And so Cindy's working with 10 of our youngest students in their reading for 20 minutes, 4 days a week, just to really target in on some of those skills. And she's working with several different groups on social emotional interventions that she pulls in character strong components, but also because she's just so phenomenal with them, she pulls it. She's like, oh, this kiddo also needs help in, this subject. So she'll double dose extra support in multiple things. And with our youngest learners, it's so important because they need as much small group focus as they can get. Our push-in model with paraeducators. Our paraeducators are so often in the classroom. So I'm doing observations right now. It's that time of the year for teacher observations. And it's so exciting to see our action plan in work. And so I was in one of the classrooms today and I see the para come on in and they just have this connection. They know what the teacher's schedule is. They know what they're doing. They know they're working on subtracting fractions, mixed numbers with unlike denominators. And the teacher immediately goes to the paraeducator immediately goes to the table with the students that they know are going to come to them. And the students start the rotations after the whole class instruction. And it's just so exciting to see the paraeducator push and support and how that's working, because we know that the students do better when they are among their peers and learning from their teachers on the support that they need, and then they get that in-class support. So 20% of our pullout is very targeted and specific and data-based. Middle school, we changed it from lab, which was our interventions class in the afternoon, to WIN. So every student is in WIN, which is what I need. And so they set goals based off of their scores from Renaissance Place. And all of our students, even our high cap students, are in WIN. So kids aren't sectioned out based on their levels. They, like 7th grade works in here every day. Miss Breeze is their teacher, and she works with them. They set the goals based off of their performance. So even those that are doing really well say, oh, this is my lowest area of math. So they get the tools that they need through Khan Academy, through our curriculum, and they work on those skills specifically, which is very exciting to see. So we really like changing things to WIN instead of lab because the kids are getting what they need. It targets it better to kiddos, and it doesn't make them feel isolated or pulled out or in the, it's the bad class. Middle school WIN is working on weekly goals. And then we have our IEP, special education services. So all of those targeted supports to students for growth. That's how we're going to achieve our goals. Other critical aspects of our SIP. Our communication, we are continuing monthly all staff meetings, the first Monday of every month, before we break into PLCs. It's a great way for our staff just to come together for quick communication, like, hey, this is our focus for the month out of, character strong. October, we're focused on respect. This is what you're going to hear us talking about on a daily basis. Make sure that you're pointing out our posters. We are responsible, respectful, and safe. Actually, October is responsible, September was respect. But it gives everybody on once the beginning of every month the same focus, and so that's been positive. Social emotional, it says we newly implemented Character Strong, but last year was our first year with it, and we were really just trial with it. It was like, oh, this is going to work well here. This is going to work well here. This year, it is a daily scheduled program. So we are using it daily in our classrooms. In middle school, every Monday, they have a 40-minute specified SEL class with their homeroom teacher that they are doing the massive lessons. And then the rest of the week, when they have 15-minute homerooms, they're touching on that lesson on small components of it. So they have a much more intentional focus on SEL. Personal creativity, we've got our STEM classes for 3rd through 8th grade, and then our WIN classes supporting our middle school. So that's our focus on our school improvement for this year. Are there any questions about it?
I'm just overwhelmed.
This is, it's the learning leadership team. It's such when I'm feeling really overwhelmed by all the things, and it's like, okay, we really got to dive into our stuff. We sit down as a team and it's just like, it just comes together. Everybody looks at the data and they find different things and different needs, and then they come together with solutions and ideas. It's rarely do you get to work with a team that is as efficient as the team that we have right now happening. So it's a really good feeling.
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking about in the 1950s, as a 3rd grader, if I ever heard the word influence. So I just have flashing back.
I know, and it
Distant past.
yep, it's there's some tough concepts and words out there.
I'm just overwhelmed. I'm willing to be able to get through it. 56 years old. Wow, I don't know what it means now.
I don't know what it means now. But Jerry will tell me.
Yeah, I'll delegate. So, as we sit here at the board and we get this kind of information, and again, my reflective listening, really taking into that. The state federal level, we're above state level
Yes.
in all areas. Yeah.
We're above the state average in all
Okay.
areas.
Okay.
Yep.
So through ELA, now, and then of course the science. Then I heard you say, through our peer group, there were like 5 or 6 schools where we have reason to believe that we're leading the pack.
Yeah.
In this area. I'm going away with this, trying to, people want to know, how are we doing? I mean, Steve certainly gets it, I certainly get it, I'm sure others. But I'm just trying to come up with a response or reply.
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
In the beginning, you were talking about students opting out. Does that affect our overall school score? Yeah, and then does the state go after us for
If we had
a student not taking that test?
So we have to report it, of course.
Yeah.
We have, but it does count as a 0. I don't really know what that looks like. I don't get to see what that really means, because we only see ones. So I don't know how a 0, pulls that down, but that's what they say. They say it counts as a 0.
So as that grows, like as that child grows, does that 0 will it always stay there as a 0? Like it'll be a benchmark, or does it always come down? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if those students take the test, the SBA this coming year, I believe it will show growth,
Okay,
is what I believe will
yeah,
happen.
that was my question.
And the reality is it is growth, because if they're able to sit and process through, and the test comes with accommodations for students with special needs. And so if they're able to process through and learn how to use those accommodations and have the stamina to take the test, then that's growth.
Mhm.
So, it will show that component. If we hit a 5% threshold, 5% of our students, families opt out of the, or they call it test refusal. It's not opt out, they call it test refusal. If there's test refusal, 5%, then that could trigger a review. So this,
Like an audit of
Yeah.
somebody coming in and going, okay, what's going on?
what's going on here? Why is this the trend happening? Now, there's several schools that, a lot of schools are above that threshold of parent refusal, and I don't know what actually happens there. So we hear about these things, I don't know what that actually looks like. We've always been below the 5%, fortunately.
I'm just dying to get this out, Andrea, let me jump in.
No, go ahead.
To the question. Someone would have to refuse to have the children take these
Mhm.
assessments.
I have to sit down with them, they have to sit down with me, we have to talk about, or Cindy, as our assessment
What
coordinator.
are you told why they want their children
They
not?
have a plethora of reasons. Oftentimes it's, I believe it's going to be too much stress for my students. We have reasons too where there's people that are completely against standardized testing. And again, in many ways, I recognize a parent's right to do that. If a parent actually fills out the refusal form and sits down with us to have a meeting, and they're showing commitment to their child's education, and so I always see that as a window or a doorway that I'm going to, let them know that this data is important to us, and I recognize that they don't always feel like standardized testing is giving data that's actually going to be useful. We at Grapeview use the data regularly, and we make changes with it, we make plans with it. And so that's what I try to let them know. I also let them know that their kiddos are going to be taking standardized tests for the rest of their life. And that any practice with how that works and test taking skills are important. Just, their driver's license, if they want to join the military, if they want to go to a community college, if they want to get a skills profession, they're constantly going to be taking standardized tests. So test taking skills, people say, well, don't just teach the test. Well, no, but it's important to teach test taking skills as well. That's just a part of education. So we always kind of go out with that direction.
So, because of the fact that we have some refusals, our scores are actually, if those zeros were in, our scores would actually be elevated above what they are.
Our student growth
Yes.
goals would, for sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, another.
No, it's okay. Lost my train of thought, but I had a good question. Shoot. Okay, if I remember, I'll get back to you. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that, this is the competitive side of me. Can we bring up other schools around us and see that our growth is higher than ours?
You can go into OSPI report card and pull up other school scores.
Yeah, it's all on the report card, go to any school.
So that's something we can pull up and gloat about when we go to our next levy or, and all that.
Yes, and we put it on all of our levy flyers and things like that. We talk about how much our students are growing and growth. With that, the data that you'll see, the SBA scores are updated, the student growth percentiles are updated. The attendance has not been updated. There's a bunch of other demographics that are still a couple of years behind. Those ones seem to come in later, but our data is showing massive growth in our attendance goal, which is great. The state hasn't caught up with that. They're still showing our 2022 data for attendance. So, which is fine. It'll come up. It always does, but they always, for our report card, they always get SBA. But as you're looking at all of that stuff, you'll see like some numbers pop out. You'll be like, no, I know attendance is better than that. Well, it is. And it's just when you look really small letters and you see the year of the last cycle.
They also measure attendance differently. They have a formula where they talk about the number of the data they show there is the number of students who miss like 2 or less days. It's a different measure. So you have to look at it closely.
Thank you.
Emma, thank you.
Cindy, yeah.
Mine's short and sweet, because I think everyone here heard this last year, so.
Mine is a presentation on our highly capable program, so it kind of ties into this. It is a state law, each school, whether they have highly capable students or not. Oh, I did not put that, look at it, that's fancy, I did not know it was going to do that. I'll claim it. It's a state law to have a highly capable program. This was actually part of our program review last year. Here we go. Okay, so our school district defines highly capable students as learners who perform or show potential for performing at significantly advanced academic levels than those of their chronological peers. It can be confusing sometimes for families and educators. This is much different than the student that finishes their work quickly and does an okay job, you know. The compliant learner, I would call it, this is significantly above their peers. Go ahead. So characteristics, they learn with unusual depth and they're able to retain information and transfer that learning to new situations. And a big one is dealing with levels of abstraction and complexity earlier than their same age peers. They can make unusual connections among ideas and concepts. They learn really quickly, and they can concentrate and focus intensely. So we have two categories that students can qualify in, or they can qualify for overall highly capable, but verbal and quantitative. If you kind of think quantitative as your math aspect, verbal can be your writing, reading. That's a good way to kind of split it up. All right, so my job is to, as the building coordinator for highly capable services, I kind of coordinate the curriculum, how, if a teacher wants to compact that curriculum, how they want to differentiate. And we don't really do cluster grouping, but subject acceleration. So that's all something I coordinate and meet with the parents each year. That's a collaborative plan that we create with the teacher. So each year they're working on new skills in our school district. And actually what more and more school districts are moving to is differentiation within the classroom instead of sending students to a highly capable classroom. That's done with their peers in the classroom. And that's a model that more schools are moving into. But since we're so small, that's always been our model, so. So the district does qualify highly capable students with a variety of different measurements and tools. So first of all, we're actually in the process right now of taking community, family, and teacher referrals for highly capable students. Anyone can be referred to the program. So we do the referral, and then our multidisciplinary team, so that's with our special education teacher, Ms. Nelson, myself, and two other teachers will meet and decide, look at all of the data, their referrals, their parent referrals, their state test scores, our district benchmarks, also WAKIDs if they're our youngest learners, and teacher and family surveys. And then we decide if they are a candidate for testing for the COGAT. The COGAT is a really intense assessment. My first time administering it, some of those questions are really abstract and beyond, so it's really difficult. Think of like an IQ test almost, you know. So we take all of that and then decide as a team if those students are ready to enter that program. So I already touched on this, but we have academic plans that we meet with parents and teachers to ensure that their students are getting what they need. And they have access to those plans and we can change them as need be. And that's done within the classroom, their extended learning. In middle school, it's win time. I have a couple students actually working together in 7th grade and they chose what they wanted to work on and it correlates with their highly capable plan. And they're kind of working together on that. It might look different than what every other student's doing, but it's what they need. And some after-school clubs and activities that can be a possibility if they're offered. All right, I know this was a question last time. We were wondering how many highly capable students we had last time. We had a huge 8th grade class move out, so we're hovering around 10 students that are currently identified as highly capable. And we're in the process of referrals right now.
After students been identified, do they stay identified forever, or do they have to start the whole thing again?
No, it's part of their cumulative file, so
Okay.
we actually have students that enter into our school. We did not qualify them, but it's in their permanent record, so it flags us and they have their own system for highly capable at different schools, but we receive all those records and we build a plan based on that.
Are they usually pretty accurate when they come in?
Yeah, I'd say, yeah.
Right, so typically the demographics of those 10 students are, they the 7th, 8th grade kids typically.
Well, we've had in the past, students in the younger ages qualify, so it really varies on your student population, but I had, last year, I felt like it was one from each grade level test, so it's very across the board. Yeah, any questions? So it's,
These 10 who were currently identified are across the board?
yes,
Okay.
yep. Thinking yep.
So when these kids leave us here as 8th graders, will they leave with distinction? Is that a graduating recognition that they will leave with?
I don't know about that, but the high school does look at those records and it does impact their placement in their high school courses.
Okay.
So I code them in Skyward and it gets reported to Cedars as highly capable. So it travels with them.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they were to move, their new school would have all that. Yeah.
So to have a number of, it's like 5% of our kids on truancies, is that about a norm or 10%? Is it, I'm just curious.
Between 3 and 5.
Yeah.
3 to 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, we get a lot of referrals from families at first because their student gets straight A's, right, or straight 4s. But this is a different kind of learner. They might not always have, let's say, the social emotional skills of a typically developing kiddo, but they think differently, abstractly, and so they could be kids that struggle in school a lot of times. So I hope that helps. That's a small section of the students. All right.
Because of the newness, I'm trying to wrap my head, I keep wanting to go back to the old honors program days and this is similar but different than that, or is it similar to the honors programs that?
This would be a little bit more advanced.
Yeah, no, this is a little bit different. It does, like for Grapeview, it doesn't, we don't really have honors classes, but we ensure what they need, so that they get more progress, project-based learning. They might advance to algebra earlier. At the high school, my girls were highly qualified in the highly capable program, and it automatically put them in AP prep classes as freshmen. So it does put them in higher level courses, because it is all term on Cedars.
Thank you. This is a Philip Rose commercial with this If I had hair, I would blow it out. But this is really fascinating stuff there. Nice job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Wow, well, the attention span is about, and its length. Okay, so we're gonna get down here to item number 9, announcements and recognition. So we got a carnival coming up here next week. What is it, 25th? Friday, don't stop. Okay, good. Conferences on the 6th, the 8th, the 11th is a Veterans Day in the school. The 20th is the next board meeting. And of course, she's not here tonight. Retirement recognition will be a focus of this next.
Yeah, don't take it this, no, okay. So I'm doing 2 things. She's done such a great contribution to our school for so long. We're gonna have, that'll be our last board meeting. She'll be here. And then, so we want to do an official recognition because that's what we should do. But probably a little bit less so than we did for Jim, because I also want to throw a party for her. So I've reserved the Mason Vincent Club for the afternoon of the 14th December, which is after her last day. Her last day is the 13th. And I have some people, I reserved the place and I've been reaching out to people to get help, because I'm not really a party planner, honestly. But I know there's some good people around, so we're trying to put together us a little more robust than what we did this first Jim. That's because that's, you know, like didn't last for more. It's just that day in and day out, you're putting up with 8 different superintendents and maybe that many principals and keeping us alive financially. It's with the owner who's found, it needs a little more credit. So we're gonna do a little something on the 14th there and hope everybody can.
Give it time,
What's that?
give it time.
Yeah, we're shooting it like 3 to 6. That window. I'm not really gonna do dinner, maybe some hors d'oeuvres and cake and something along that.
So there'll be any adult beverages there?
I'm contemplating that, yes, champagne, was, something that I was looking at. And I'll need help, because I get decline on myself, but, so Barb is helping me and Sherry are helping me. Anybody want to connect with them to, contribute any time, effort, resources that would be appreciated.
All right, thank you. So I'd like motions to approve the consent agenda.
And we can approve the consent agenda. Second.
All right, thank you. Discussion, so, one bit amendment or the September 20th minutes, I've already signed those voucher approvals. So we need discussion around the consent agenda, anything here jumps out, do we need to discuss more than that? All right, if not, let's for approval, we have a vote.
Aye.
Okay, 100%. All right, principal and superintendent.
Do you have other things, Hannah, or was that about you? Yeah.
I'll hear what you have to say.
Okay. Okay. All right, yeah. So I guess I'll start with, oh, here, I'll pass it. My talking points for October is start with, there's a grant, an adaptive and inclusive technology grant that Cindy took on for us and did a fabulous job. And just so you know, I applied for it at my other school and I leaned on her for advice. And she really did well with that. And I took pieces of that, her information to help me. But what that'll do is that'll buy us 7 of the interactive screens that
Oh,
we were trying to get. We have one down in 3rd grade right now that I showed you guys previously. So those are marvelous tools that for reaching children in different modalities. And so that's why they allowed them in the grant. So the grant was about reaching unique learners and special needs, and so these tools fall within that very, very well. So with our efforts, we were able to get enough money to pay for 7 of them. And also a pocket talk, is that what it's called? Yes. Which is a translation tool for helping us to work with children and families with different language needs. So that's marvelous. We were wanting to get there because all of our other screens are breaking slowly, and so they're just going away. We're faced with what to do, and so this grant really gives us a fabulous step forward. It gets most all our primary grades, right?
The whole elementary.
Whole elementary school. And so with that, and that puts some more, but I'm gonna ask you, suggest is go ahead and buy other 7 that we need, so we can outfit the rest of the school using capital projects funds. That way we'll save easily $1,000 in shipping costs because of the shipping costs. And then it will also make it a lot easier on the training for staff. Because we can get them all on board working together at the same time, and we don't have some staff with them and some staff without them, right? And so it also will kind of help us, set up a process for installation. That will take a little while too.
So then will this become a future action item then?
Doesn't necessarily need to be. We can move forward as long as there's no objections.
Is it the latest and greatest technology or is it last year's model?
No, they're fabulous. They're absolutely amazing learning tools. I mean, there's some steroids. I mean, you just glance at it and it kind of looks similar, but the depth of adaptability and it's got its own processor as well. So in essence, we have to do something because they're all breaking. So right now we're with her work, we're getting our whole school outfitted for basically half of what it would have been.
So what's the timing of this?
Well, we can order them tomorrow.
Is our power grid okay to have that much?
We already have screens around anyway, they're just breaking and slowly disintegrating, and then we're like patching together by buying another projector or some other devices and stealing parts to repair them, so.
These are obsolete now. But
That's why I was asking.
The new smart boards are upwards of $10,000. And it's its own technology. The other ones are.
Does that affect our insurance? Like if a kiddo breaks it, what happens?
Well, the new ones that we chose on the one screens, I worked with ESD to find ones that are largely used in our region and great technology apps, they're built in CPU, so it's almost like it's this one to be computer. And lots of other districts in our region are using them because they're affordable and.
Katie used it for her classroom last year, where she had like a gazillion kids and that it survived.
I've got 2 iPads that are different, so I'm just asking that. And a screen protector, so
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's just there's children that are so naughty and if it's $10,000 though, that is not.
Wow. The old ones were 10,000.
Oh, okay.
The original ones that we had put in that are breaking, these are a third of the cost. Wow.
Kind of like big screen TVs, they used to be $1 zillion and then the price came down. So they are advanced technology, but they're not extremely expensive.
Plus, it's part of the STEAM program. I mean, kids are just learning to interact with technology because they're gonna have to.
Yeah, yeah. So, unless there's any strong objections today from the board, we could move forward because we have the money in the capital funds project, which was what paid for all these other ones originally. And we can do it.
So you're talking another 20,000
Yes.
for every.
To match?
You've got 20,000 grant plus another 20,000.
Yeah.
And then we're brought up across the school.
Yeah.
The whole school. I wish this was an action, I think.
We can wait until next month if you prefer.
Well, again, that's why I asked the time, in my mind.
I'd like to hear Tom and Wes's
Yeah,
part on
it
it.
should be an action item. The three of us can have the ability. I wish we'd had it as an action item.
Okay, yeah, we just got the grant, so we couldn't really change.
If we could do this with an action item for the November meeting without causing us any additional cost or inconvenience, could we do that? I'd like to do that.
I'd have to talk, with the grant money will still be there. I don't know what that'll do to the price point, but. Yeah. What's that?
I don't know what the expiration date of the bid is.
Have you gotten other bids from other companies?
Micro K-12 is an already state approved company, so you don't, because they've already been vetted by the state, we don't have to go to multiple companies to get bids. They already went through that whole process with the state, and we can just go straight to them.
So I'm gonna ask a question here on the morning of November 2nd, we're going to be in our offsite.
Yeah, that's not too
Is this an action item for all of us there that we could action? In 2 weeks?
Yeah,
So we don't have to wait. I know we're trying to be sensitive to, so we have a bid, and the date on the bid. If we need to have, we'll all be together then, it's a published meeting. But we
can take action.
If we have to do an action item, I would certainly be, but I would like to action this.
okay, all right. We will, good. We'll just pause until the next meeting, we'll add it to the agenda.
So on the 2nd, we could action it and then on, so on the 4th, she could order. Yes, say yes. Okay.
Moving forward,
And quite frankly, and I don't know how we would do this, but if it was really time sensitive. And we had to do I had to do an individual call to each one of us. If I do that, I don't know that that's within the Open Public Meeting Act, but
we should be fine.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
I don't want to do something because of I just would like to have this on record.
Word purchase.
Yeah, it's a big cost.
Okay.
So, another thing that, we were able to do is, the Salmon Center has been a great partner with us, and we signed up we're able to receive a sub award through their system to help pay for costs so that it makes it easier for us to get there and participate, with them. Have kids being outdoors and, engaging in science, it's in a different kind of way. Somebody in the government thought it'd be a great idea to do another civil rights audit to all schools in the state of Washington. We already do, data for them, continue, seems like every year. We just went through a part of our collaborative, our state audit last year. We went through, civil rights points and demonstrated our compliance with them, but apparently doing it 6 months ago doesn't count. So we will be doing it again, and that's another workload for us and Sherry to collect all our data and prove to them that we're nice people, I guess. Today, our HR person is employed by us, and she's at a workshop conference, and then we'll be working with Tracy on some very specific reports that they have to be working on as an initial project of working together somewhat on that. related to that, Tracy is working on our end of the year budget reports, so that's why they're due Friday and she's cranking on this. She's locked down in her office. I've been very happy that we switched to the risk management tool. I went to their annual meeting Monday evening and for Tuesday, and so it was a great networking experience, and it's really it's a whole different feel, you know, when you have your insurance company, just like they're over there and you call when they got a problem. But it's not like that with this group. It's really fascinating because there's a bunch of superintendents and we're like, we're all in this together, guys, right? And there's a lot of resources for, I have an ombudsman, I have a risk management person to talk to, and I mean, I walked in and all the staff knew me and were like, Jerry, like, great to see you, so glad you're part of the club. I thought that was a club, right? Yeah, it was pretty cool, even though Seattle School District is also part of the club, but I felt just as big of and important in the room as them, so I'm very happy with them and their support, and it's a good resource for me. Just thinking about risks and training and protecting our school from potential pitfalls. So that was a great meeting. Apollo, you know, we had, you know, installed new equipment, and there were some glitches with some wiring on some of the thermostats, and so they were in a couple of times in the last couple of weeks getting those, because they were set for air, but then the heat kicked in and kind of had to get back in and figure them out. They're working well now, and we're going to establish some starting this week. We were doing regular meetings each week because there's stuff going on, but we kind of put a pause on that. But we're kicking those back up, and then they're expecting, still on track, is that for the 3rd week of November the children will arrive, and you know, as I can kind of expect, when they put in new stuff, they'll cause other stuff to do wonky stuff, and we'll be figuring stuff out for a while. But come in the spring, we'll have some really happy teachers in the elementary room, because they will not be sweating and and board meetings too. The last one I put on in bold, and we measure attendance rates slightly different than what you'll see on the state reporting. I don't know why they do it that way, but I like to just, what is their average attendance, right? So it's something we've been working on, and Hannah worked diligently on that through last year, and what I think happened is that that just really carried forward. All that work, all that message, all that importance of being here, that combined with creating a culture of learning and a nice place to be. I checked on our attendance rate for September, which that's right at the beginning, right? She hasn't really had much time to work with any of them unattended. It's already very strong, and overall it was 92.9% attendance rate for the month of September. TK was almost 94, and middle school was almost 92. So that's a fantastic. What it tells me is that work did previously moved forward and has resulted in kids being here. And when kids are here, they're learning. And when they're learning, we're getting them ready for the future. So good job.
I mean, there's some schools that are doing the 80%.
Or lower.
Or lower.
Yeah.
And that's sort of kudos to.
Yeah, I feel like you were actually. How do you do that? I'm saying, we got secrets, but I can't tell you.
Grammar mojo.
It's the days when if there's a child, a kid who has a sniffle, they stay home now, is that part of?
No, if they have a fever, yes, and if it, you know, but kids have sniffles all the time. So, I think one of the big things too that helps us is when we are a small community, so we notice very easily when a kiddo's not here. If you have a school with, 1,500 kids, it's harder to notice those kinds of things. We're so small here, we notice very much when a kiddo's been sick for a little while. We also, our bus drivers are phenomenal, and schools all over the place are canceling routes, and they, because they don't have enough bus drivers. Our neighboring school districts are struggling immensely with bus drivers, and getting qualified bus drivers in, and they're training people right now and things, but, it's so challenging. Transportation is such a challenging thing for districts right now. And we have been so fortunate to be able to have a fully staffed, for our 3 buses. And when we are running into problems with people ill or out, and we've had to a few times where Brittany has been amazing in getting it all scheduled in to where we've adjusted routes. So like we will have a route where we take all the kiddos home first, and then he comes back and we'll grab the rest of them. And so it's informed, the parents, and Brittany has informed all the parents, and we'll have an activity going on, just watching the kids in the commons. We've had to do that a few times, but we've made sure that we haven't just completely canceled routes. And that's something it happens regularly, with my daughter's route at North Mason. It happens regularly with, other routes in Shelton. Pioneer has been closing down 2 routes regularly. Just because it's a really hard situation to get substitutes and to get people in the train. So I'm really grateful, because that is a huge piece of our attendance success, is that our buses are getting there and picking up our kids. The only other things I wanted to bring up is, Jerry's been fantastic about, getting a guest speaker. It's every year for our Veterans Day Assembly, it's important to us that we have a community member who's a veteran, who means something to our school and our community, and who speaks. And Jerry, in the meeting he secured Ryan Spurley, our sheriff, in Mason County, is going to be coming and speaking on November 8th. And our ASB is putting on the Veterans Day Assembly again, just like they do, and they get the participation from all the classes. And that's a really wonderful event that we're able to put together. So we're excited for that. Our parent-teacher conferences coming up for November 6th and 7th. Those are 2 late-night conferences. So we have noon release on the 8th. As well, we'll have noon release all 3 days, and then 2 of those days, late-night conferences. Our PTSO is making food for the staff who will be here late those nights, which is always a really nice thing. And our usual turnout for family conferences is very high. We're hoping that we are able to maintain that this year. So we're excited for that. Talk to families about their kiddos and see where we're going. And that's really all I was going to bring up for principal report.
Great, thank you.
I'll speak to Tracy.
Oh, okay. So I looks like we're down to Tracy's, to item number 12.
So you all have a report, and I'm just gonna go over some of the highlights.
Tracy and the new lady.
No, Tracy's working on the mid-year budget practically, and locking the door every moment she can to get that squared away. But I just expect that she can get it done for us. It's a big deal. So as far as our budget goes, I'm gonna leave the pennies off if you don't mind, but our general fund is $544,775. ASB is looking pretty strong at $16,616. Capital projects fund is $110,000, 177. Our transportation vehicle fund is $240,000, which is pretty strong, and I think we're about ready to consider looking at a new bus pretty quick. Our debt service fund is the bond is $591,000. So our total let's see, reserve or fund balance reserve is at $377,825. That's right at 9%. So right in that lower end of the window, it's our target place. This month's revenues were strong, 477,339. And the expenditures, this is how you like it to be, it isn't always that way, because sometimes the state gives you a higher percentage than they do other times, but it was 342, 314, so. Let's see, so the end of the month projected, ending fund balance is 690 or 79,800. Enrollment is, our budget, and which is how we're getting funded currently, was at 210. And we wisely are try to be conservative with that, because it's always better. So through December, we get funded on our budget, and then after that point, they readjust our revenue to match our average. So, but our total enrollment currently is 223 students. So, then over on the next page, it's gonna be the same stuff. Total revenues 477, expenditures 342. So, if you have questions, make them easy, because I don't. She's usually the one that knows all that stuff. She's in the building if there was any big concern. We can't get her.
She's locked in.
She's locked in. I'd take a hammer and everything if I had to.
So it looks like then, from like a standpoint of fifth grade, there's 7 students over the front subject and women close to the kindergarten is another 5 students. Excuse me, they're under budget. But that 28 versus 21. Okay.
But overall, we're above where we needed, so.
Are you getting paid now for the 223, or is that gonna come
It'll come after December.
after December?
Yeah. They pay us for the first part of the year on the budget, and then they adjust it, so the revenues will go up at that point, because it's a lot easier to do it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna thank you, Jerry. So we're down to item number 13, this is an action item for board retreat. So, Ricky did that. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, guys. See ya.
Brittany did put this in our packs, the one who got taken to the house. Here's all, you put it on the desk today. So there'll be obviously the 5 board of directors, anybody else who Brittany, Brittany will attend to.
I wasn't.
Okay. Well, just be the 5 of us, for you.
Do you have to record it? Does it have to be recorded like this one?
I'll have to look, I don't think so.
That's interesting.
It's a good question, but.
That's a fair question, and we are supposed to record it. It's better retreat. It is technically a public meeting, but
Particularly with actions.
particularly if we action.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's a detail, it's a new detail, we'll find it since June now very well. You know, as we talk about this, agenda that we have, again, the superintendent goals, the career technical education, the policy solutions completion, facilities improvement plan, maintenance plan, teacher negotiations. You met the role, obviously, with the hiring of Tracy's replacement, so that was a pass, but those are the highlights of the deliverables that we're going to, we as a board are going to look to Jerry. Sorry. Getting down to item number 4 there. So this is, I appreciate the fact that the board is willing to go ahead and go through this strength, weakness, opportunities and threats assessment, but it will be interesting, and we'll do this efficiently and not get bogged down. We'll just pull things down for a bit later review, but it'll help us get a feel of our business.
So just to make sure we've ironed out the issues, one of you had the wooden structure for the pad and nobody else had the pad for us to write on? Or are we just gonna?
She works on it.
I'll make sure you have all of that
Yeah,
ready to go.
and there was a whiteboard there that we could easily just take a picture. We use the
Yeah.
whiteboard and just colonize it.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna,
So that, if you wanted to make it simple, we could take a picture.
Bring
of the cell
markers.
phone For that.
Would that make your life easier too? For sure.
it's up to you, either way, I need
Let's
to.
do that, because that whiteboard is there, all we need to make sure we have a reasonable one. Anyway. So, I'll be anxious to do this one.
We may not have Tom, as far as his coming back, the timing is like might be the same.
Okay,
Just,
all right.
I wanna give him
And then, of course, we'll look at the operating agreement, it's an annual review that we do, and we'll all sign into that again. Reclaiming board transitions, this is our tradition, this is one that Wes asked for, and school theater productions, I think it's more around our attendance.
You just gotta show up. I don't know, but there's no discussion, just show up.
But Wes brought this up, and so I'm glad to entertain it. Discuss future retreat location options, this is one that I don't.
I added that because they're now charging us a decent amount.
Oh, is that right?
Have
Yes,
you tried the church that's right next door?
We went ahead and just booked it because we had a discussion, and we're gonna pay it, and that's why we added here.
Does a retreat have to be off campus?
It generally is.
Are we talking hundreds of dollars?
it was $200.
Jeez.
And
For half a day?
the reason being is that now that there is a new director in place, there's been some review and audit internally looking at their books. And they determined that they would need to charge, it could be considered a public gift of funds if they did not charge us. And so that's why, yeah, but it does seem steep.
So, I didn't wanna go ahead and just change it. But, so I booked it, but we added this on the agenda, that might be something in the future we wanna reconsider.
I think a boardroom at a library would be even better. Well,
Or even here, if it came down to that, even though it's not a
That's
retreat location, even here, I mean, Grapeview Fire Hall would be another option, but it's such a.
you have to be a member, don't you? You have to be a member of the Horton.
No.
Oh.
We didn't. But, okay, I naively hadn't considered this.
That just came out.
Okay. And then, of course, to review our mission and our motto, Hannah, from a high level, we talked about it, I mean, we did that several years ago, the mission, including the motto statement,
To engage and inspire,
good name,
to engage and inspire, that's our motto.
okay, and which is on. All right, so this will be a short review of that, it looks like.
Should we add right in there, review technology, grants?
Yes.
Yes.
Under your goal.
No, we'll just somewhere in there, it's not really my goal, it's just, we wanted to discuss it and make sure everybody's on board. An action item.
Okay. Yeah, I would see that item number 6, if we were unsure on time, or something that. We'll kick it.
Yeah.
And, Wes brought it up, and we've entertained it. But it was wonderful. Okay, that's,
Can I say something to that? I feel like with me being here, I feel like just the communication between the PTO has increased and just level of parents wanting to express interest in that area, I think has increased, so that's a good
and
thing.
that's the beauty of having you on board.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, to be really frank, have all those who are retirees, kids with that, to have you on, is really helpful.
Thank you. Well, I hope that still is a conscious thing with everybody, is the bridge between parents coming in here and student self-esteem and how they feel within the school.
You know, that's a contribution that you can bring, we don't. You're on the fire line, so to speak.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna leave this alone, legislative action, Tom's not here, so we'll dispense with that.
Sorry, last one thing, really quick, back to the retreat agenda. Did you want to discuss the food situation
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
now,
oh.
or do you want to have?
Yeah, she leaves, because if we don't do it now, we don't do it, so typically we've had a casserole come from, and I probably get Teresa to help me with one of those. We've had a fruit tray before.
We won't start. I can bring a coffee pot with the right filters of snacks.
Okay,
I'll try
okay.
to do that.
So put me down for a casserole.
Got it.
Gotta be sure, but we gotta take that back, gotta have one, Teresa's gonna be in the Tracy and Dave, gotta be careful. Okay, I'll tell you.
I'll bring some, and I'll bring, you guys are gonna provide a fruit tray?
No, the school doesn't. provide
Okay,
anything.
I'll bring a fruit tray.
So we got fruit, casserole, coffee.
I'll bring casserole or something, I'll bring beer,
All right, I'll bring some sort of Danish thing,
I'll bring food.
something I can.
Safely.
There's always expenses, it's not like it's a huge.
Correct. Okay, good call.
Thank you, we need that.
Good call. I appreciate that. Conscious. Okay, so we're gonna dispense with the board retreat, legislative action on here, first reading none. So we're down to policy approval. So I would like a motion to approve policies 5012, criminal family and marital status, pregnancy related.
Okay.
By now,
I make a motion
approve.
to approve, sorry.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion here on this? I would
Good to be.
pretty great, okay. Dispense with any discussion, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
100%. Okay, I'd like a motion to approve policy 6690.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Yeah, okay, discussion? Again, it was interesting, the thing I was interested there was that if we did this in the policy is that we would do it for the fact that it was cheaper to do it contracted versus our own cost. That was a really salient point there that came down. All right, unless there's any more discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 100%. All right, we're down to future agenda items. November board meeting, along the line here, Sherry, you had talked about, in the early portions of the agenda, the retirement recognition. So we ought to probably get that as an agenda item, Tracy retirement. I don't know if we're gonna want to report out at the board level, we're all gonna be there as far as our retreat goes. That's probably not necessary because we're all at the board, we're gonna be there, so. Anything else that jumps out here?
Molly will be doing a report on our.
Yes.
Molly, our second grade teachers will be doing that thing.
Okay. Anything else?
Same thing, we talk about the Christmas thing, and yeah, Christmas, and, I don't know the date yet, but I think the, Associated Students is gonna do another pasta night at the courthouse.
Ooh, cool. Is evening?
Yeah, okay. But I don't know, I didn't know what day, I didn't know any date yet. That's kind of stuff I want to do.
Yeah,
But we're still
I
not-
can see that it maybe need to do it. Things too.
Or maybe there's a thing that, I don't know what kind of rules are about school websites, but your calendar is like, school things, and it goes to like late, be late start or something like that, but could there be another page of just like activities?
Yeah.
Just like, so we know in advance, like I can plan ahead, make sure that when I know the nights of the concert, I know, or the weird things like that.
The website's not necessarily updated either, like what you're saying, because like
Well, most of
the
the time-
slides going through is all from the beginning of the year.
Yeah, but it doesn't, it only goes to the end of November, it's not bad. I mean, it doesn't go, because there's not a place to go for everything.
So I'll work with Hannah and we'll see about ways of making sure you get that information.
I mean, but everybody would probably like it too, I don't know.
I think we managed to get stuff home to the parents.
Uh-huh.
I mean, my son's in middle school, so it's a different story.
Traveler keeper.
Yeah. I get, most of my communication comes through email. That I get it, and then,
That's really
I'm not a fan of Skyward.
I know.
I'm really not, especially through the application on your phone. If I really wanna dive in, you have to log onto a computer to really get
We
Skyward.
have looked at apps that are better tools for communicating for parents from the school, but they're very, very expensive.
Yeah.
And be careful what you ask for, Andre, because my kids use Parent Square and I get notifications
For
daily
everything, okay.
for everything, so.
I just,
But yes.
the highlights is more what we're getting at, if it's posted on, whether it's Facebook or our personal website. That's where I go to look if I need to tell my in-laws something or tell my parents something of what's going on in
It's cool.
Can we talk about parking? Can I bring that up as an action item for next
For next time,
meeting?
particularly working.
Yeah, it was a big issue for football and it's an issue with pickup, in my opinion. It's kind of dangerous how parents just come in and when there's a line of parking or a line of people to pick up and parents will come flying through to park to hurry up and get their kid in front of the people that have been waiting in line, so to speak. And then for the last football game, there were so many visiting people that a bus couldn't get up the hill to park. So I just wonder if there's something within the budget to take trees down and just have a gravel parking lot for extra overflow rather than down the road.
I bet, let's put it on the agenda.
Okay,
Well,
I'd like to talk about that because that's what I see as
The
an issue.
football event,
Well, there's basketball and track. I mean, there's other, and it's only gonna get darker as the winter goes on.
put it on the agenda.
It's a long way down.
Well, it's darker too.
Problem. I didn't understand the problem.
Yeah, we'll walk through it. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna, you guys look at it and move on to board reflections.
Yes.
So I'm gonna start with you, Deb, because you, the rest of the committee, you got some things.
Okay, so it was a PTSO meeting, what they say, I went Monday night, and it seems to me that Hannah was there. And it seemed like there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 people carrying the load for everything. So among these 10 people, they're trying to get all the cups and the rolls and the things for the stuff Friday night because we're gonna do chili. And then they also decided who's going to bring the suit for the parent-teacher conferences. I mean, they're working their tails off. They're trying really hard to get organized, but there aren't very many of them. I can see them getting burned out pretty rapidly. I mean, because they're just, there's nobody there.
Well, and one's just helping because she's
Yeah, the one who's.
Ashley's passing it on,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, she was doing all the time. And then they had the thing with the checks. Did you hear about that? They couldn't, those of us who gave money, who gave checks, they couldn't cash the checks. Because
The treasurer's not,
there used to be PTA and that's what the account is under. But they didn't keep that paperwork up, so they're not PTA anymore, they're PTSO. And the bank says you have to open up a new account. And I noticed when we did the thing for the levy, there was so much paperwork about getting organized, and you have to go to the Secretary of State, and they have to do all of that kind of stuff, and they don't have a clue. And I can't help because I don't have a clue either, so they couldn't cash the checks, so I took the checks back and we just gave them the cash tonight.
that's what we did.
Yeah, so, so anyway, but it was interesting, so, but I mean, I think anytime any of us could do anything that would be helpful for them, they could use the help. I mean, more than, I mean, the money was nice, but just, like, I don't know, ask them what they need, I don't know.
Who has oversight?
Well, they're their own entity.
In other words, they've got $500 as the budget right now. Obviously.
I mean, we think we,
It's in the agenda,
yeah,
we have a balance.
there's really tight
I'm sorry,
rules
I'll
around
take it.
finances, and so that gets one. I don't have any really
authority.
If you looked online, they had a thing where they were trying to buy things for the games, because a lot of the stuff is just worn out. It's been used forever, so they're just trying to buy new, I don't know.
Table games,
Table games,
Play-Doh.
stand bags, whatever people need for those kinds of things. I mean, I got the feeling that they weren't wasting anybody's money in Beware at all. They're just working their way through. So, but partly it was that they had this $400 they couldn't do anything with either. That was pretty scary. I mean, they just looked confused, and they were like, maybe we can talk someone into doing it. Finally, at the end of the meeting, I wonder if I take them back and just see if I get the cash, right? And she doesn't know me at all, and she still gave me the checks back. I don't know why. But anyway, so. Oh.
You know, having the number of people involved, it's not just them or our school, it's kind of I guess a modern era. I mean, I had a school of 800 kids at Fort Lewis, and I had like 5 moms that were there constantly doing the work. So, you know, we were 4 times as big and didn't have any more families involved. People were busy raising kids and working and doing multiple jobs, and it's hard to
And
get.
they don't feel a need to come down here because they look at the test scores, and the test scores are really, really good.
It's on
And the kids
autopilot.
are not crying when they're coming to school because they're happy to be here. The lunch is good. I mean, they look around and go, they're fine. I don't really need to go hang out at the school because I'm not concerned about anything. They only show up when they're mad. Well, some. So, you know.
So I don't know how to fix that.
So
I think,
what is
and
it?
you being there supportive.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try to keep going to the meetings and, you know, cheering, yes.
What is the role of the PTA now?
Well, in this case, they're also going to do, they have, each class has been given some food item like potatoes and gravy or pies or something, and they're gonna start gathering food by classes, so they can put some baskets together, or boxes of food together, and the, office, I think probably Sherry helps decide which families can use Thanksgiving dinner. So these people are there, so the kids are bringing in food, and then I told them.
Food drive almost.
Yeah, so then I told them I would come in, they, you know, wrap up boxes with paper and put a bow on it and then give them to the kids. So that's another thing. I mean, it's all positive things. Just trying to be.
It's rich for that activity.
Yeah.
Parent Teacher Association.
What's the Parent Teacher Student Association?
Organization.
PTSO, yeah.
Yeah, okay, because PTA is its own distinctive.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Anything more to add to that?
I guess no, I guess not.
Are you making chili?
No, I'm
You
not.
not competing?
No.
Will you have a bowl of my chili? Because I'm gonna, or I'm competing, yeah.
Last year I
Are
came.
you campaigning?
I am campaigning.
Last year they served pizza and I didn't even know, 'cause I never left the room. I started working and I never got out of the room.
Henry? Any comments?
And keep the truck. I'm really impressed with the percentage rates of all the STAR testing and all that. That is. Hannah needs to pat herself on the back and everybody else. That's amazing.
Can I say one more thing then?
Sure.
Someplace in there, we should probably note officially how much money those teachers bring in grant money. Cause I know grants are a pain in the rear to write, aren't they?
It can be a lot of work. The one Cindy did was a lot of work.
And then they brought in the 30,000 last year. It's like, what they bring in, 60,000 altogether between the park back here and the.
Those were grants that I did, those outdoor learning grants and where, that was 70,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the grant for the playground.
Oh, yeah, then we always on the lookout for supplemental resources because.
I don't know, maybe we shouldn't target who it is, but maybe we should do a little blurb someplace that this is how much money Gardner, that's where I used to live, sorry. Grapeview, 40 years, I haven't been here that long yet. Grapeview has done all this work and this is what the school, the faculty, the administration is contributing that you don't even know about.
Yeah. So kind of a summary of.
Yeah, just like a little blurb that says, neener, neener. Because it's impressive. I mean, really.
It's my communication with them is that we can survive, but we'll never thrive unless we access all those other supplemental resources.
But I don't think I know how much work it is. I mean, not everybody knows how much work that is. Plus they're regular, it's not like we give them time off, huh, do you? Sorry, I'll shut up any minute now.
Maybe that anymore.
I'm impressed with the percentages and I wish to keep it going and you know, it's funny to see almost like every other grade, there's a little bit of a dip, but then you go, oh, the next grade, oh, they gained that back. Like, it's cool to see that in real time reflection of how our school's doing.
Well, for me, I will echo pretty much what Henry said, that presentation, Hannah's presentation is for me, is the heart of why we're here. We're getting, I think, if we're leading the community like, or the fine school like we are, we're giving that end of the buck. It's important. Yeah, there.
Can I say something else? That
Sure.
WIN program, just hearing, like, when my son gets home, we don't talk about the day, but it's also like, well, what do you get to work on? And he's like, well, we finished this all in my WIN class so that I don't have to bring it home. That alone is a parent's dream, to not have to worry about that and to know that he's getting if he doesn't get something, there's somebody there to go, okay, let's go over this again without feeling ashamed. It's that, I wish I had that in my grade or growing up, because I was singled out and I felt like, you know, to get into the intervention, I felt like I was missing something from my other peers.
So I'm glad, like, again, for me, the WIN, the ELA, fine. Now, Jerry, will end up with you.
I guess what I would say is the leadership matters, board matters, and then rolls all the way down through the school. So they have a tradition of having a solid, supportive, collaborative board, and that shows all the way through the school. So appreciate all your support. We'll do a better job of getting information to you about when things are and where they are.
I think that just helps across the board,
Yeah.
like to every student that we have.
And it'll go, you know, as Wes talks about traditions, maybe it's just, I didn't know that they're there, so we'll work on that.
Can I mention one thing?
Yeah.
Just back to the appreciation of Hannah and all the work she's been doing. Friday is the official Principal Appreciation Day. And so I'm not sure what time, but we are putting a little something together for her out in the commons with all of the grades. And a bunch of us pooled money together, so she gets a nice little gift certificate to Alderbrook Spa. Yeah, so I didn't know we're set. Everyone really chipped in, and so it was just something that Cindy Breeze actually kind of started the conversation and wanted to show appreciation for her. So in the afternoon we'll be doing that. Nice.
I think that interesting, that collaboration piece, leadership matters. It does make. Any more? No. So, Brittany, let's show at 7:59, excuse me, 6:59. Adjournment. Excuse me, 6:49, excuse me. Okay, so.
You have to sign a bunch of stuff.
Oh, yeah, I did, I'm flying.